So, thank you, Adele. And so, welcome to the Center for Comparative Studies of Civilization and Spiritualities of the Giorgio Cini Foundation, and to the conference Non-Belief and Non-Believers, Evolution and Challenges of Contemporary Irreligiousness. So, first of all, I would like to thank the UAR Association and the University of Piemonte Orientale, especially Adele Orioli, Silvia Baldassare, Roberto Mazzola, and Antonio Angelucci for co-organizing this important event. I have to say that I'm thrilled because this conference explores another research field, and I'm sure we'll learn something new about this fascinating topic. Let me say a few words to introduce the center and the activities, explaining why this conference is important to us. So our Center for Comparative Studies and Civilization and Spiritualities was founded in the 50s. But it had a different name, though. It was Venice and the East. Definitely more romantic and a little bit Orientalist. It was meant to improve the European knowledge on the East, but it also had a moral, religious aiming to bring together people from different religions in order to tackle the question of secularization and materialism. And so it was a sort of religious humanism, different from the one described by Cobson, but it's interesting to see how to compare them. And it implied also a self-critique of the so-called Western society, colonialism, hence the so-called mission civilisatrice, as exemplified by the conference organized in 1955, entitled The Process of Islam to Western Civilization, organized by Piovene and others. And so in which Muslim intellectuals were invited to criticize European societies. So of course the outcome was not that bad for Europe, and so it was a positive conclusion for Europeans. But you have to keep in mind that in the 50s the same idea of self-critique was quite radical. So it was the time, it was 55, and in 56 there was the Suez crisis. So it was a different historical period. And so finally, in these founding years, from the 50s until the 80s, I would say, there was an idea of a universal archetypal language that was possible among different religions and different cultures, of course. So now, of course, methodologies, epistemologies changed, as the name of our center. On the other hand, there are still important connections with the past. So what does it mean to do comparative research on the field of religious studies and in cultural studies? And so today, we use different methods. We are no more in a heroic quest for a universal archetype, but we use different approaches, such as comparing a common phenomenon in different contexts, and we organize conferences on conspiracy theories, nationalism, and also objection consensus. We worked also on the so-called genealogical approach, analyzing cultural influences, transfer and construction and imaginations. And also the analogical approach, analyzing the body, the emotion, and the experience across different religions. For example, this is a conference we organized a few years ago on exorcisms in different cultural contexts. And the book should be published in a year or so. Of course, comparing means also comparing the different epistemologies, different approach to research, to knowledge. And we work also with art and artistic research, and we work on comics, calligraphy, photography, in order to compare different approach to knowledges. And of course, there are other forms of comparing. We are especially interested in exploring gray areas between the secular and religious phenomena by focusing on conspiracy theories, medicine, and why not, humanism, or non-believing, or atheism, which challenge the same definition of religion and the sacred across cultures. And so this brings us to the question of translatability among different religious and cultural contexts. For example, I wonder, is it possible to translate the same concept of non-believing or humanism in different cultural and religious contexts? And to what price? What are we missing in this translation? How is different a humanist discourse in Judaism, Islam, Hinduism? A non-believer in Baghdad is the same a non-believer in Venice or in Berlin. To conclude, I think that this conference is relevant to our center also for the political implications implicit in the issue of secularism and non-believing, which could be used both as an instrument for emancipation but also for discrimination. And so I hope that we will have the possibility to discuss these important topics. And thanks again to be here with us. And I wish you a pleasant conference, and welcome again to the Giorgio Cini Foundation.